I am Anna Maria Fioretti, and I am the scientific attaché at the Embassy of Italy. I have always been attracted by science. The big earthquake of my region in 1976 struck, and it was so powerful that I got very interested in geology. So I started with geology, which brought me probably in, not all over the world, but in very places in the world, and eventually to Antarctica. From Antarctica, I came to Australia to study the correlation, geological correlation between Antarctica and Australia. And I got exposed to the scientific environment of Australia, and I fall in love with it. And when I came back, I start thinking about how important is the correlation with another country with different way of doing science. And so I got in touch with the scientific attaché of that time, and I started cooperating with the embassy. And since then, I've been in touch with the embassy, and when the scientific attaché of that time ended his work, I applied and I got the position. Well, my main responsibility is promoting the bilateral cooperation between Australia and Italy, but I'm not alone in this because all the embassy is working on the cooperation between the two countries. So it's not a solo work. I am working with the Office of Cultural Promotion, of Economic Promotion. And so we work all together here at the embassy, but also with the consulate. We have 2 general consulates in Sydney and in Melbourne, and 3 consulates in Brisbane, in Adelaide, and in Perth, and 2 Institutes of Italian Culture. So it's a very strong, it's a very robust system. We work all together. And of course, our counterpart here in Australia are the Ministry of Research, are the responsible for internationalization of the research institution, university. Our days are not always the same. This is something very nice because we change every day, but something which is usual that I start with my day is to read the news from the scientific institution. So probably the first 1 hour, sometime 2 hours, I dedicated to the news. I read the newsletter from, let's say, CSIRO, Geosciences Australia, ELF, the newspaper, the press release of the federal and national governments. And if there is anything important in that, I start writing a report for my offices in Rome because they have to be kept informed. And this is the first part of my day. Then it changed. I can have meeting with the personality of the research here in Australia. I have meeting with Italian or Australian researchers. And I also travel. I used to travel a lot before COVID to meet the different reality here in Australia, because to get informed, you also need to get in contact with them. But after COVID, the travel has been restricted a little bit. So I hope it will resume very soon, also this activity. I think the first skill, you need to be curious. You need to be curious of what others are doing. You need to be curious of science, and you need to trust that science is important for society. So the first thing is really to look around all the time, to be ready to pick up all the news, and then passion and commitments, because without passion, you don't do a good job. And perseverance, because things do not happen in one day, in 1 hour. So you need to keep the contact until they mature, and then you can have the bilateral cooperation working. And then a little bit of creativity, because you need to be able to pick up the opportunities when others don't see them. So it's really there is a variety of skills. I hope I have some of them, but you need to enjoy working with people. But as I said before, I'm not working alone. There is a network of offices that are coordinated by our ambassador, who decide the line of our work. And then with other offices here at the embassy, but also with the consulate, with the Institute of Culture, sometime with the Institute of Commerce, we work together. Italy has a long and strong tradition in research and innovation, and is part of international network of research institutions. It has excellent reputation in many fields of research, from physics to medical science, agriculture, oceanography, you name it. We have a lot of institutions that are very highly ranked in the world classifics. It is a leader in many European projects, and besides it's excellent in science, Italy is also a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country, so going to Italy is an unforgettable experience at 360 degrees. Italy and Australia has already many collaboration and a lot of memorandum of understanding and agreements, but there is always place for improving, and so we are working hard to improve this cooperation between the two countries. From our data, there are more than 500 Italian scientists, researchers, or academics here in Australia. And there is an association of Italian researchers in Australia, which has the headquarters, let's say, in Adelaide, and it is expanding every year. The association is called Associazione Ricercatori Italiani in Australasia. The association are very important for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also for the Ministry of University and Research. And they dedicated one day to the Italian research abroad. And this day is the 15th of April, which is the day of birth of Leonardo da Vinci. It's an iconic day. And during this day, all over the world, and here in Australia, we had it in 4 states, there is one day which is dedicated to the network of the researchers, Italian researchers. There are meetings, workshops, which showcase the contribution of Italian research here in Australia. And these meetings are very useful to promote further cooperation. And they are very well received, both by the Italian researchers and by the institution. Well, scientific cooperation is essential for every country. The problem that science is tackling now are so big that no one single country can resolve them alone. So cooperation is absolutely the standard for the scientific cooperation. Think, for instance, at COVID, if the states, the country, were to work alone, probably we wouldn't have the vaccine. We couldn't have had the vaccine so soon. And then things that climate change. Climate change is something that is affecting the whole world, because the Earth is around. So everything that affects one thing is affecting all the other part of the world. And working on climate change to reduce the CO2 emission and thus prevent the Earth to keep warming so fast is something that all the country has to work with. And it's not only reducing CO2, it's also improving the technology to have different use of the energy, to find different solutions for the work of everyday life. So every country is called to do its part. Scientific cooperation in this case is absolutely essential. Italy this year, together with UK, is hosting the COP26. So a big part of my work this year was devoted to getting deep in the problem of the climate change, in promoting cooperation on renewable energy, in promoting cooperation on reducing the emission of CO2. Because I'm almost at the end of my posting, I've been thinking at this very often, but I can't say I have one favorite memory, because there has been so many exciting situations that I cannot choose one on the other. What really was impressive for me was visiting some infrastructure here in Australia and visiting them with Italian researchers that were running the infrastructure, for instance. So seeing their passion, their commitments to the work they are doing here was really something that is, as I said, there's an excellent memory for my here. And also the meeting of with the Italian researchers. Each of them have different stories, the way they came here, the work they are doing here, and their connection with Italy, which is still so strong. Although they found their way here in Australia, they have a new life. They call Australia home now here, but the link with Italy is very, very strong. And so I think we need to work with them to promote the bilateral cooperation. They are very important for my work. The advice I would give is to be open-minded and ready to help things happening, because when you are a scientific attaché, you're not longer a scientist, you're not longer doing science, but you're like a catalyst. You allow other people doing science, you allow other people get in touch, and you promote new research.